Bryant has since refused to apologize. I did what needed to be done. It's not that he slipped or messed up and he apologizes. It's not that, well, I thought that was the appropriate word to use in this scenario. He believes that it needed to be done, that the only way he could show his political disagreement with someone on the council who was black was to call them a house N-word and then call them to stand up to the point that they were crying, racially abuse them to tears, and that was what needed to be done in his eyes. What needs to be done is this individual needs to be censored on this council and then resign. That's what needs to be done. Could you imagine walking away from this scenario and thinking, okay, let me see if I can twist this. Not only did I use the N-word, but I needed to use the N-word. Could you imagine the huge loss that could have befallen this council if I didn't use the N-word? An Alabama lawmaker, during a meeting, called a other person in a council meeting, a black individual, a house N-word. The footage, it's kind of hard to listen to.
Yeah.
And she calls us
The
blacks. I'm
N-word.
the other
The
black
N-word.
girl.
Let's get to the N-word.
I mean, I know I'm
do we
black.
have, hey, do we
Okay,
have,
I just want to address what I have to say.
do we have a house in here?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Do we? Hey, do we? Would she please stand up?
Y'all are seeing this, right? Camera?
He has defended his language, even though this has gained national attention, and he's facing calls to resign. And he is legitimately defending himself and has no plans of resigning, as far as we know right now. Let's read a little bit into the story. A white city council member in Alabama has refused calls to resign or apologize after he openly used a racial slur during a meeting. Tommy Bryant, a member of the Tarrant City Council, claimed his use of the racial slur was reflective of what Tarrant Mayor Wayman Newton, who is black, said in a private meeting earlier, according to the Associated Press.
That's what Miss Freeman was called.
That's what the mayor called her. What do y'all think about that? Huh? Y'all like that?
During a meeting Monday evening that was live streamed on Facebook, Bryant stood up and referred to the black council member, Veronica Freeman, by saying, "Do we have a house N-word in here? Would she please stand up?" Now, the thing is, I don't know how he could possibly say that the black individual behind closed doors used the word in a way to say, hey, use it on me when I get out there. I mean, his defense is that a person who is black, that this reflects what a person who is black said in a private meeting earlier. So unless he can provide evidence that this black person in a private meeting said, "Hey, Tommy, how's it going, my man? So what I want you to do when we get out there is tell me to stand up after calling me a house N-word." Unless he can somehow provide that extraordinary piece of evidence, I find it very hard to believe that a black person anywhere would be particularly excited to be called a house N-word in here and then being called out to stand up to show to everyone that you think that they are a house N-word. Bryant's remarks elicited gasps from some in the audience, and Freeman left the meeting crying.
This was after he belittled Tarrant and said only poor people live here. He seems to think being mayor made him God. As for how he got elected, he sent vans to pick up people who probably never voted before. He promised them things for their participation to get a black mayor elected. Not sure if he paid them anything or brought a meal for them to come, but there was van after van with this name on them coming to City Hall. Of course, they were all full of black, smiley face.
So Freeman left the meeting crying. So again, I find it hard to believe that they were behind closed doors. Yeah, call me the N-word. It's going to be a blast. So basically what happened here is we had a white council member calling another person, a black person, a house N-word, then called them out to stand up to show everybody who they were. And then that person, due to the racial abuse, ran out of the meeting crying. And this is somebody who thinks that they should still be on the local council. Tarrant resident Wayman Newton, who was at the meeting, now says Bryant should resign, and told NBC News that the outburst was in response to her questioning him about why his wife, Nancy Bryant, had used the word on Facebook while allegedly quoting Newton. Bryant has since refused to apologize. I did what needed to be done. It needed to be brought to light what kind of person the mayor is, he said to a local station, WVTM. I did what needed to be done. I did what needed to be done. It's not that he slipped or messed up and he apologizes. It's not that, well, I thought that was the appropriate word to use in this scenario. He believes that it needed to be done. That the only way he could show his political disagreement with someone on the council who was black was to call them a house N-word and then call them to stand up to the point that they were crying. Racially abused them to tears, and that was what needed to be done in his eyes. What needs to be done is this individual needs to be censored on this council and then resign. That's what needs to be done. Could you imagine walking away from this scenario and thinking, okay, let me see if I can twist this. Not only did I use the N-word, but I needed to use the N-word. Could you imagine the huge loss that could have befallen this council if I didn't use the N-word? God, man. Feels like a destiny debate. When asked if he was racist, Bryant said, it's according to what your definition of the word racist is. Oh, God. If your answer to someone asking if you're racist is like more than a paragraph long, then you're probably racist. If it isn't a simple no, and you gotta be like, well, let's talk about the nuance here. Buddy, you really need to sit down and think about what you're saying. It's according to what your definition of the word racist is. What a lot of the public's definition is, I might be racist. But according to what the true definition of a racist is, absolutely not. You know, at least he acknowledges that to the vast majority of people, I don't know, on planet Earth, watching a council member call another council member a house N-word until they run out of the meeting crying due to racial abuse is racist. At least he acknowledges that the vast majority of people would see that and see it for the racist incident that it is. I want to know what the true definition of racist is. Is it like Candyman? Have any of you ever seen that old horror movie Candyman? It's one of my favorites, actually. It's a personal favorite of mine. In the movie Candyman, you had to say Candyman like 3 times into a mirror for him to appear in this horror flick. Maybe for him, you need to say the N-word like 3 times for it to be racist. Like, what's the amount of times you need to say the N-word for it to be racist? I want to know from this man's perspective. The Hill has reached out to Newton, Bryant, and Freeman for further comment regarding the incident. Just over 50% of Tarrant, which sits next to Birmingham, is black, the AP reports, citing U.S. Census statistics. The Alabama Democratic Party called for Bryant's resignation Monday, shortly after the incident. In a statement to NBC, Alabama's Republican Party chairman, John Wall, said the state GOP is deeply troubled by the racially charged outburst and disrespect by the council member, and that such language is completely unacceptable in any setting, and even such concerning from an elected official. Look at the difference between these two statements, by the way. The Democratic Party in the state was like, hey, this person needs to resign. This is somebody who's unfit for office. He is a racist, and having a racist be able to build legislation that affects the lives of black people, terrible. The exact statement they released is he is a racist and unfit to serve. Alabama still has a long way to go when it comes to race, but cozying up to the KKK and using the N-word should make you unfit to serve. Blatantly true statement. Couldn't have said it better myself. Should be the baseline. The Republican Party chairman comes out with a statement, and he doesn't ask for a resignation. He says, oh, we're deeply troubled by the racially charged outburst and disrespect. That's one way to frame it. Such language is unacceptable. is unacceptable. But the Republican chairman seems to have stopped short of asking for the person who calls another council member the N-word to the point that they run out crying. They won't call for his resignation, though. The Democrats, quick. The Alabama Democrats, quick to call for his resignation. Quick to call for his resignation. They say he is a racist and unfit to serve. 100% true. The Republican Party chairman, John Wall, comes out. We're deeply troubled by the racially charged incident. It's so bad. Oh, so can we go now? We done? Can we forget about this? It was such a sad outburst. They seem like they really care, don't they? They really care about this incident. Anyway. Look, I just find it a little incident that the Democrats are quick to call for resignation. The Republicans, crickets, we're deeply troubled. Thoughts and prayers. Some things never change, huh? Some things never change.